Yo, yo, yo. What's up, you beautiful snowflakes? Welcome back to the Millennial Manchild Podcast. And as always, you already know who it is, folks. It's your humble and gracious host, the best on the West Coast, the Millennial Manchild himself, Miles Casey. And we got a doozy lined up for you today. Obviously, it's been a little while. We kind of, who knows what happened. I think I was in a coma for about 3 weeks, so should be interesting catching up on the news. I'm sure not much has happened, but yeah, we got a banger lined up for you today. And before we get into it, we'll start you out with a little soft play, heavy jelly. I went and saw these lads recently; they were great. So we're gonna kick it off with them, and then we'll get into it.
When the jelly gets heavy, hold steady, my friend. Good times are coming around again. When the jelly gets heavy, hold steady, my love. Blue skies are waiting up above. Don't think for a second you're in this alone. I'm always here at the end of the phone. Just give me a call. It's nothing at all. I can't take the weight, but I'll soften the fall. When the
Can't take the
jelly
weight,
gets heavy,
but I'll soften the fall.
hold steady, my friend. Good times are coming around again. When the jelly gets heavy, hold steady, my love. Blue skies are waiting
Up above.
slip through your fingers.
All right, let's get into it, folks. Wow, as always, I hope wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. I hope life is treating you all right. I hope things are going good in your neck of the woods. Obviously, tough to say. Things have been a little crazy lately, I guess. Like I said, I was in about a 3 week coma, almost a month. And I guess a lot has kind of happened since then. We'll get into that later. But yeah, what's been going on in the life of the Millennial Manchild himself? Not too much. Busy with work. Like I said, went and saw Soft Play at the House of Blues downtown here in San Diego about a week ago, and that was awesome. They were great. The show was super fun. I ended up just going by myself. Nobody else really was kind of vibing with the music. I had bought an extra ticket. I had put it out there into the universe if anybody wanted to go. I figured they would reach out, but nobody did, unfortunately. But it was a lot of fun, and you know what? Happy to support them, right? You got to support the artists. I mean, in this world, that's one of the few ways they can actually make money. So happy to do so. And I've been using their music on the podcast quite a bit lately, so it feels right to give them some of my money. That is for sure. I'm actually in the next month going to be going to see Grandson, somebody else's music who I have, been trickling out through the podcast here lately as well. And I actually have another ticket for that, so we'll see if anybody wants to go see Grandson with me next month. I'm looking forward to it. Outside of that, have been going to the movies. Can't help myself. Bit of a movie buff. I know. Saw some great ones actually. Went and saw The Long Walk, which was, I think, written by Stephen King, but that was a really good movie. It's a very, dystopian, set in a bleak future. Something we, who knows, might be experiencing here soon. It had some very heavy, um, authoritarian, fascistic undertones to it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good movie, and it kept you entertained out throughout the whole thing. And it's literally them just on this like long walk, right? So pretty impressive, and the story was compelling. So I definitely recommend The Long Walk. The other one I went and saw was Him. Been busy. It's been a while. Right? Saw Him. That one has not gotten great reviews, but I actually thought it was pretty good. I don't know if people, I think there's this like issue with like our society in general where people aren't analyzing things more than just like the surface level. They're not maybe looking into what they're saying behind the scenes or what this like deeper message is. And if you don't like sports, maybe him will not be for you. If you don't know, if you haven't like watched documentaries on like Michael Jordan or like what it's like to be fucking competing at the highest level, if you're like Kobe Bryant or Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or any of those guys, right? Because it has a lot of those themes throughout it of like what you have to sacrifice to be the GOAT, essentially. And people are like, oh, I didn't get it, it was confusing, it was like chaotic, and it was all those things in it's in a way, but there is like a pretty through line of messaging there in my opinion. And again, it had some good like kind of anti-capitalist sentiments in it as well, especially by the end, which I thought was pretty obviously I liked it. The other thing, I mean, I've been, like I said, on a roll. Also went and watched Superman, finally caught up with that one. And I am not a superhero movie guy at all, but the new Superman was honestly fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Uh, you know, to me, it felt a lot like a certain situation that's happening now was being portrayed in that movie, and how one side, with all the technological power and backing and force, is trying to attack and kill another side. And Superman saves, because that's what fucking Superman would do, right? He saves people. He wants people to not die. That's kind of his thing. And watching that unfold and like kind of play out and see how um you know the themes of that movie, I thought it was really well done. Honestly, it was a bit corny at times, you can't help it, it's still a fucking superhero movie after all. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. So if you are looking to check out some movies, highly recommend those. The next two I'm going to be seeing, which I'm really excited about, are One Battle After the Next, the Leonardo DiCaprio and Benicio del Toro movie. That one I've heard is phenomenal. Very excited to see that. We'll be seeing that on Tuesday. By the way, today is Sunday, October 5th. So, yeah, I'll be seeing that in a couple days. Always nice to have something to look forward to, folks. That's one of life's little greatest secrets, is have a little treat or a little event, no matter how small, to look forward to. Because that's how you get through the fucking bullshit. I'm telling you. And then the other one I want to see is the Smashing Machine. Although I was watching the UFC fights last night. They were phenomenal. Honestly, one of the best cards of the year, probably. I really enjoyed it. But man, it is getting harder and harder to watch the fucking UFC. Joe Rogan's wearing a motherfucker down. I used to love him. Obviously, there's probably like, hours on this podcast of me talking about how Joe, I used to love Joe. I would guess. I don't know for sure. I can't go back and listen to myself. It's literally impossible. It hurts my ears. But, listening to him on the commentary, it's just like, Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up. And he would not shut up about the Smashing Machine. He's like, The Rock needs to get an Oscar. He needs an Oscar for this. It's like, all right, fucking relax, like, chill. I'm sure it's good, but he was going crazy. So I do want to see the Smashing Machine, but the way Joe was talking about it, I was like, all right, fucking relax, dude. Like, let me make up my mind, please. So, but yeah, like I said, the UFC fights were great. Alex Pereira beat the brakes off of Ankalaev. That was super fun. Marab, the Machine, absolutely killed Corey Sandhagen. Not killed, but like, he's just too much. That dude has a gas tank that does not stop, does not quit, and he's a very unique fighter. So a lot of fun. Like I said last night, the card was really good, so that was cool. Outside of that, I guess we could talk a little Chiefs. I did record a podcast probably like a month ago, and I never released it. I don't know why. I think it wasn't even that bad of a podcast. I kind of maybe have an idea of why I didn't release it, if I'm being honest, I guess. If I'm like really being honest. I was like wearing all my Chiefs gear. I was decked out. I was feeling optimistic. And then we lost the first couple games, 0-2. Finally beat the Giants. Finally, snuck out and got a get-right game with the Ravens. But I probably was embarrassed about how hyped I was about the Chiefs season starting, and then watching them just kind of, not look good. Xavier Worthy gets hurt in the first fucking play of the game, and from there, it got ugly. But hey, after last week's game, I'm back, baby. I'm feeling like we're back on top. The Chiefs had never left. I don't even know why anybody was doubting them, saying that Patrick's lost. Shut the fuck up. Y'all don't know he is the GOAT. So have a little respect. Excited that football's back. Outside of that, like fantasy football's going okay. I have one team that's just dead. Like I don't know what happened. I think I blacked out during my draft, and half of it's hurt. The other half just fucking sucks. And sometimes you take some risks. You try to get a little creative. You should just stick with what you know, right? Don't get creative. Don't get cute. Stick with what you know, because now I have a team that's 0-4 and looks like it might not win a game all season. So poor GM management, poor management by me. But yeah, that's kind of the life updates. That's what we've been doing. That's what we've been up to. I've been reading a lot as well. I feel like people in this country just don't fucking read anymore. So I'm trying to be the one person, I guess, that reads. That's not true. There's plenty of people who read, I'm sure. But right now I'm reading what was it called? Erasing History, and it's about how fascism rewrites history to, form a narrative that the people can get behind and really latch onto, right? And I'm only about 25 pages in. It's very early on, but excited to learn more about what we're going to be experiencing here. We are currently experiencing it, but also in the future as well. Oh, all right. I've been fucking yapping. Let me play a little tunes, and then we'll get into the juicy part of the episode here and talk about some fun stuff. The next song we're going to play for you is actually Bells of War by Grandson. And yeah, like I said, looking forward to seeing them. So we're just going to share their music with you.
One man breaking the ranks, standing in front of the tanks. One soul to disobey orders, break bread to break borders. One song and one voice risen, to write back as history's written. Cause the lion isn't wired to hide, she roars with the fire inside. Come on! Bells of war!
Yeah.
Bells of war! Bells of war! Bells of war! One middle finger, clenched fist. Don't plug your nose when the stench hits. Go face what you're afraid of, and go soldiers what you're made of. One no in a valley of yes, one light in a shadow of death. Is a power even higher than God? Take a bullet from the firing squad. Come on! Bells of war! Bells of war!
Yeah, there it is. I mean, these guys really remind me of like Rage Against the Machine. I said Woke Linkin Park, but it does have more of like a Rage Against the Machine vibe, I feel like. But yeah, man. Let's just hop right into it. We got too much to talk about. We're not even gonna cover it all, I'm sure, because how could we? I'm one person, and the news is fucking insane to keep up with. Especially when you got our big beautiful boy Trump up there just going nutty mode, absolutely unhinged. It seems like I don't know if his brain is turning into mush just like Joe Biden's. It has to be, right? It has to be. I mean, dude's 80 fucking 2 or something, and has just been like popping amphetamines for decades at this point. So like you would think his brain is just fried, and that's what's we're seeing the unfoldings of that before our very eyes on a daily basis. And some of the latest and greatest hits that Trump's been coming up with are really based off of a few things, right? One is he's really been, not just him, just the right wing in general has been weaponizing the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk to push forward this narrative that left-wing radicalization and extremism is actually the violent side of this country. And why I can't obviously deny that there is some left-wing violence. There's, it's that goes without saying. We live in America. This is one of the most violent countries to ever exist. There is always more violence on the right. There was even a study that was put out by the DOJ, the Department of Justice, our government, right, saying that right-wing extremism is far more often the cause of these domestic terrorist attacks, whether it be a mass shooting or, an event that happened to like Charlie Kirk or any of this stuff. A large portion of these are from the perspective of the right wing. These people get radicalized on like 4chan or Telegram. They're on Discord, whatever kind of crazy shit. They find these little spaces where they can congregate, and they almost see it like, that Trump is using this term, the FBI is using this term, nihilistic violent extremists. And these guys are like they have a very nihilistic worldview, right? And one of the ways that they express this is by doing these horrific acts. And the DOJ quietly removed that study that I was talking about, pulled it from their website. And the main reason they did that, obviously, is because it does not fit the narrative that they're trying to push out there, right? Like, immediately after Charlie Kirk was brutally assassinated, which is horrific, by the way, I do not condone violence. My whole worldview really evolves around, like, less people dying. Like, I want as few people to be killed as possible or murdered, or to starve to death or to be bombed. Like, that's kind of, like, my whole thing, right? So obviously don't condone. Horrible. It was unbelievable. I accidentally watched the video because social media was spreading it like wildfire, and I immediately felt like that was something I shouldn't have seen, right? Like, I was like, oh my god, had a visceral reaction. And I get why people responded the way they did, but what was crazy to see the response was the government immediately saying it was a trans shooter, the bullets were trans. Oh no, he's dating a trans person, he has left-wing ideology. Like, this was a person who grew up in what seemed like a MAGA family, Mormon, regular homegrown American, right? So this isn't like, sure, maybe, it's so hard to even put a label on this, and it really speaks to, and I catch myself doing it too, right? I'm like, oh please, not a left, like, but this is not how you solve this problem, saying, oh, pointing at one side or pointing at the other and saying they did it, they did it, they did it. Like, that's not how any of these problems are going to get better. But what is clearly happening is that a narrative is being pushed to silence any dissenting voices, right? To blame somebody like myself, who is nonviolent, who does not want any violence to happen to anybody, like, and because I have a dissenting view and a different way of imagining the world than what Trump and his fascist administration has, somebody like me could be targeted because they're coming up with Antifa is, they're going to go after Antifa organizations, right? As if Antifa is an organization. Like, I got my, like, it's not like the DSA, right? Where you can be a Democratic Socialist of America. You can have your little card, you pay your fee to be a part, you pay your membership dues or whatever, right? This is just a broad, it's basically the, how we've had the war on terror for the past 25 years, right? Since 2001, basically. What is terror? What's the war on terror? It's very vague by definition on purpose, right? And it allows them to kind of label anybody that doesn't disagree with their, and obviously there are real terrorists. I'm not trying to, I have to be very careful about this, I feel like, but, it's a broad strokes label that you can just kind of put on any organization that you don't agree with, right? And that's exactly what they're doing with Antifa. It's a one for one. It's that imperial boomerang. Oh, they used it abroad, now it's coming home, right? That's the type of stuff that we've talked about on here before. So we're seeing it right before our very eyes. They're using these broad strokes. Anybody who's anti-fascist, right? Like, that is what Antifa means. Fascism is what the Nazis did, right? Our grandparents were anti-fascists. They fought a world war over stopping fascism. So this idea that being anti-fascist, which is, a good thing from my perspective, pretty clearly a good thing, is now this broad strokes, oh, it's violent, it's radical, it's the ones that are murdering people, and you can't go to the grocery store because Antifa's going to be waiting there and they might jump you. It's like, none of this is reality. And that's the whole thing, is that the Republicans at this point have hallucinated an entirely different reality than the one that we're living in. They feel the certain parts of it the same, right? They feel their pocketbook fucked up. They know the economy shit right now. They know jobs are not being created. Like, they feel that part of it still, right? But they live under this hallucination that those problems are being caused by Antifa. They're being caused by immigrants. They're being caused by trans people, LGBTQ. And we're seeing that narrative come up more and more and being pushed harder and harder. And it doesn't feel like there's anybody on the Democratic side that's really combating this narrative. They're allowing the Republicans to fill the void again. This is what they have been doing because we have leadership that is not ready for this moment, is that they're allowing Republicans to fill up the void with their narrative, be the driving force. They get ahead of the curve by, just basically disseminating misinformation as fast as possible, like they did with the Charlie Kirk shooting, just putting it out there before anybody knows anything, just letting it be known, hey, it's this, right? And, when the guy who targeted the ICE facility, he shot detainees, he shot immigrants, and they're like, this was an attack on ICE, this was another left-wing person, right? And they wrote the anti-ICE things on bullets. Like, it all looks so bad. Many people are calling this FBI, organization in its current state the least competent of all time. Kash Patel is constantly fucking backtracking and releasing information and doing this and doing that. And you're like, don't you have a fucking investigation to do? Why are you tweeting? Quit trying to pretend that you're being transparent about this when you're really just, again, bootlicking Trump, pushing a narrative, and making sure that, the base of the Trump party feels agitated. They feel riled up. And that's what they've really been doing since the Charlie Kirk stuff has happened. And it's hard to watch. It's also hard to watch, like, how many people, because, like, obviously I'm a human, and the Charlie Kirk thing definitely fucked me up, right? I was like, holy shit, I should not have saw that. That was horrific. But at the same time, I have seen so much, like, unlimited bloodshed and violence that has been committed in Gaza, right? Atrocities that you just can't even begin to describe, which is exactly, what happened to Charlie Kirk. But that's happening like hundreds of times, thousands of times over and over again in Gaza. And to see so many people speak out about Charlie Kirk in a way of, like, condoning political violence. Well, so much violence is political. And that's what politics is. It's who's in power and decides where to implement forms of violence in many ways, right? And America has been allowing for unlimited violence to happen in Gaza, a genocide, the crime of all crimes. We have been complicit in helping commit for over 2 years, and I haven't seen hardly any people, there's not any, there's definitely people that, have a very similar worldview to mine that I'm friends with, that have posted about Gaza and have been brave to say things before, now that it's getting to a point where it's just so horrific that everybody's starting to speak up, which is, fine. I'm not trying to shame people when they jumped on the train, But I saw so many people speak up about Charlie Kirk who had not said a single word about Gaza. And these are literal babies being starved, children being bombed, homes being destroyed. Like, they don't have fucking pain meds for the hospitals. They're having to amputate without any anesthesia. Like, the stuff that is happening there is beyond approach. Like, there's no words, right? And to see these people be silent, but then to see this horrible thing happen to Charlie Kirk, and to not be able to make a correlation or a connection between that violence that Charlie Kirk experienced and what is happening over there every day, or what's happening in our fucking schools. Because that's what's crazy. There was a fucking school shooting the same day Charlie Kirk got assassinated. And there's been like 5 or 6 since. There was a guy who went to a fucking church and lit the church on fire and shot it up. Like, this country is sick. We don't, like, we do have, a problem with like mental health and making sure people aren't going to do this crazy shit. But it stems from one problem. The one thing that all of these have, whether it's left wing, right wing, fucking QAnon, flat earth, whatever it is guns. It's guns. That is the one correlation that they all have. And if you want to make the problem go away or get better, you would say maybe that's the problem. We need more regulations. We need stricter laws on this. But that's not what people have decided to do, of course. And instead, now it's like there's so many different narratives that are being pushed. It's even hard to keep up, right? Because half of the right also thinks that there's a grand conspiracy about what happened with Charlie. Right? They think that maybe Israel did this, and I do not really entertain this idea. Again, I'm not really going to get in the way when there's fighting amongst the right. I'll, let them fight, as they say. I don't really think the theory has that much, it's not based in reality, in my opinion, right? Like, Charlie Kirk was many things, and one of those was definitely Trump's strongest, most loyal soldier, right? Like, the theory behind Charlie Kirk in Israel is that, he was supposed to get money from them. He turned it down. He was, starting to voice some more stronger opinions about what they're doing, and, how bad it is for them to, like, how bad the PR looks and all this stuff, right? So he was like, people were thinking, like, they have this like hallucination again in their minds where any day now Charlie Kirk was going to come out on their side, be anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, and really truly be America first, like so many of the people on the right want this admin to be, right? And this is a guy who rallied and was on the front lines of the Epstein files, said they're hiding it from us, Bill Clinton needs to go to jail, all these people were on the files. And when he got the boss call, he got the boss call from Trump, he said, what, I talked to the Trump admin and they told me that there's nothing in the files and that it's largely a Democratic hoax. So yeah, you know what? I know people want me to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. That's who he was. That's how he operated. This idea that he was going to separate from Trump on Israel and become anti-Zionist and anti-Israel, it's a fucking delusion. It's not true. Like, he may have turned down money. He, like, everything that these conspiracy theorists, like, to a certain extent could be true about him, like, privately being pissed off at BB, having this weird meeting where they offered him a bunch of money and were talking about things and he got angry. Like, all that stuff could be true, but at the same time, so could the fact that he was not going to separate himself from what Trump's position was. He hasn't ever, right? And so I don't really buy that. I think that we just live in a sick country. This was a sick person who decided to take matters into his own hands in a form of adventurism and vigilantism, I guess. And it was horrible. And I don't want more of that. I want less, right? but watching the rhetoric be ratcheted up to 12 by the Republicans, at the memorial, which was crazy. I I don't know how many people watched it. I watched it some because I just like had to know. And, some of it was kind of powerful. A lot of like nationalistic, religious, like through lines on all the speeches. It was pretty powerful when Erica Kerr got up there and forgave the shooter. You know, Tip of the hat. I don't know if I would have been able to do that. Um, and that's the one part of the whole thing that actually did feel, you know, true to what religion is, but at the same time they had like fireworks and the stage and music, and it's like this guy was a podcaster. It's not like he was a war hero. It's not like he fucking invented a life-saving cure to a disease, or saved millions of people's lives. Like, he had a podcast and talked to young people and debated college students on campuses. It's not like this guy was some incredible like figurehead, or some like I don't get why all of this has happened, outside of the fact that it's more propaganda to get people riled up, to get them feeling nationalistic, to get them feeling, you know, like they're also kind of being attacked in their way. So then they'll get defensive and then they'll ratchet it up more. And, it reminds me of something that happened in World War II, or before World War II. There was a young SS member. His name was Horst Wetzel. He was killed by some communists or socialists, right? And they martyred this guy. They turned him into a martyr of the movement, and they used him to springboard and remind people that their way of life is under threat. It's under attack constantly, and that it's from these people and it's coming from this side. And it feels like sometimes time is a flat circle. Like, maybe history doesn't repeat itself, but it surely rhymes. And this has a lot of those same things. I feel like I'm sounding insane at times, right? Like, oh, fascism's here. He's doing it. He's sending the National Guard Chicago. He's sending the military all over. Like, it is happening. And I feel like people's response to it is not what it should be. And I think they just think like, couldn't happen to us in America, right? Couldn't happen here. But fascism is literally just like capitalism in decay. And when fascism is implemented, it uses the boot of the state to protect capital and to make sure we can keep propping that up at the expense and through austerity of like all of the less fortunate and poorer population. Those are going to be the people who suffer the most under this, right? And again, having a dissenting voice or any of this, man, it just feels like we're kind of in a very, very scary time. And this whole like Charlie Kirk thing really just kind of put a lot of gas on the fire. But I guess time will tell. I do think that it's important to be brave right now. Like, Trump is wildly unpopular, right? Like, people are pissed off about what he's doing with the economy. Over half the country does not like what he's been doing with immigration. It's the reason they're acting the way they are, in my opinion, the reason they're being so aggressive and they're sending the military and they're trying to squash out any dissenting voices, and they're passing these laws that allow them to have these broad sweeping powers to go after these left-wing organizations, is because they are weak and they know it. So they are trying to go harder to discourage people from being brave. And I think now is a time that we all have to speak up. We all have to continue to be brave. I don't think you should withdraw. I don't think you should go within. And, you don't want to be the person who is like preemptively censoring themselves and preemptively doing what this administration wants you to do. because by the time it gets to a point where, like, say, right, like, say I'm the radical in this scenario. I'm the radical. I'm a radical left wing communist, right? And there's Hillary Clinton here in the center, right? Dead center, maybe over to the right a little bit. Like, he still disagrees with Hillary almost just as much as he disagrees with me in many ways. Like, he does not see a difference between her positions and my positions because they both disagree with him. So this fact, if people are like going to preemptively like censor themselves or preemptively try to do what this administration wants, it's putting yourself at risk even if you still have dissenting ideas, because it's not like they're going to stop at the radical communists if they start coming for people, right? If they start trying to silence voices or punish people for having dissenting opinions, they're not going to stop at me. They're going to keep going until everybody fucking agrees with them. That's how fascism works. They otherize a certain group of the population. They say it's us versus them. That is how you are able to divide people, and that's how you're able to, really start implementing these fascistic like laws or rules. So that's just where we're at. I think people have to be brave. I think this is the moment where people really need to still stand up and fight, and to credit where credit's due, the tiniest little smidge of credit. The Democratic Party has currently shut down, I say Democrats, the Republicans are in charge, right? It should be framed this way. The Republicans are in charge. They have the House, the Senate, the executive branch, and the legislative branch, right? They are in charge of the government in pretty much every facet. And they have threatened to shut down the government when it's been reversed so many times, right? Trying to pass a budget. Nope, can't do that. Can't have this. You have to listen to us, right? The Republicans have done that countless times. And for once during this first like 9-month period, the Democratic Party is being brave and standing on business and trying to fight and claw back some of these horrible cuts to Medicaid and Medicare, and to help make sure that people's premiums that are on, the Affordable Care Act don't skyrocket. A lot of people's premiums that are on that insurance right now would at least double, and in many cases would basically triple. So if you're paying $300 a month for your insurance, it could be somewhere between $600 to $900 that you would be paying on a monthly basis. And if you're on the Affordable Care Act ACA insurance, you're probably not making a lot of money. Your job doesn't have insurance most likely, so that's how you're getting it. So it's like they're punishing people who are already not making a ton of money and are just hoping to have some form of insurance. And now they're going to make them, in many cases, double or triple those costs. That's ridiculous. So hats off, tip the cap to fucking the Democrats. I hope they don't cave. I hope they hold strong. Right now, the polls are saying that people are blaming the Republicans for this. So, historically speaking, apparently whoever has kind of been blamed for the shutdown at the start is held responsible for the shutdown at the end. So they need to stay firm and fight for the American people and make sure that they can get at least one little win, right? This would be very popular, and a lot of people think it's just to shut down the government in order to fight for this healthcare, and I agree with that. And the Republicans, it's the Democratic shutdown. They're messaging. It's not working this time, right? People aren't buying it as much. And again, that is why I'm saying you have to ratchet up the pressure. We have to continue to put our foot on the gas, and we can't let these people, scare us into submission or scare us into preemptively agreeing with how they want us to act. I think it's more important than ever to, continue to be brave and stand up and fight for what is right? And what's moral. People think I hate America. I don't. I love this country, and I want it to be so much better. And that is the vision I have. Like, I'm not here to say I hate this country, even though at times I definitely fucking do. I hate how it acts. I love the people, and I believe that this country could do great things. So that's kind of where I'm at. Obviously, I've just been fucking kind of yapping here. I didn't come super prepared for today. I just wanted to kind of shoot from the hip, John Wayne style. So I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll let you off easy today. I'll hit you with some tunes, then we'll do the outro and some more music. Yeah, we'll keep it moving. You know how you doing? Keep it moving. Obviously, this next song near and dear to my heart. I have no idea what they're saying, but I know exactly what they're saying, and I agree with it 100%. It's by MR47, and it's called Free Palestine.
Ja, mein Palästin, oh mein Palästin, deine Kinder knien doch nur vor Gott, der Weg ins Paradies. Deine Toten treffen Steine, Staub gemischt mit Dynamit. Ich glaub, dass dieser Kämpfer denkt, dass Allah ihn nicht sieht. Ja, mein Palästin, oh mein Palästin, deine Männer fallen in Glaubenskriegen, sterben für den Frieden. Und so Mütters Tränen regnen, beten 24/7. Ich will, dass dieser Kämpfer weiß, dass Allah ihn auch sieht. Ja, mein Palästin, leben gegen das Regime. Ja, Jahrzehnte weg, exakt dasselbe Spiel, so wie Kopien. Schießen scharfe Waffen in Moscheen, marschieren wie Maschinen. Und ballern an Ramadan Raketen aus Tel Aviv. Ja, mein Palästin, ja Rabbel Alamin, sie knebeln, treten, beten, und denken, ihnen wird verziehen. Brechen Mauern, lauern, Bauern auf und zielen noch auf Ziegen. Gelenkt vom Parasiten, Netanyahu, Shayatin. Oh ja, mein Palästina, Schmerzen, Herzen, Brett im Kopf, sie nie den Zidern schenken, Menschen setzen Grenzen und behandeln sie wie niemand. Niemand da, der ihnen hilft, doch halten trotz an ihren Iman. Oh lieber Gott, wie kann man so eine Liebe nicht erwidern? Es steht geschrieben, gib ihm Macht, sie machen's wieder. Wie Pig, dann nimmt sie von den Wurzeln wie Epilierer, überfallen, fällen Bäume und vertreiben.
All right. There we go. Like I said, Free Palestine. The one thing I forgot to talk about was the global flotilla. Like there was like 50 ships that were trying to break the blockade of Israel on Palestine, and I mean they got very close. In many cases, I think there was one ship that made it like within 10 miles of the Gaza shoreline before they got intercepted. And it really goes to show that, like, if there was a mass effort across many nations, how we could overpower that and break the blockade to bring, you know, humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people, which it's a very, you know, interesting experiment that they did trying to bring more ships, because usually it's always been just like one or two. And, you know, doing this, these are some very brave people, and I forgot to kind of talk about them. I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Right now, Israel has detained many of these people. Some of them are still missing. Some people have not been heard from. Greta Thunberg was fucking apparently tortured and made an example of. This is a young, like 21-year-old, 22-year-old girl who probably weighs 100 pounds and is like 5 foot tall. And, you know, they were dragging her by her hair, making her kiss the Israeli flag, apparently, you know, beating her and treating her very roughly. And that's just what you get out of fascism, right? When you have a dissenting view, they are threatened. They want to crush it, because education and knowledge is how they win, right? They win by erasing history. They win by rewriting it and excluding certain things so that narratives can't be pushed forward, and that we don't understand the own history of our country and how we got here, and how different people or different races or different ethnicities have had their own effect on this country, and in many ways have been systemically repressed, right? That's what they don't want you to know. They want to just say, hey, based off of these certain things, whether it's race, religion, or ethnicity, that you are a class above and that they are other. And that's what they want to do. That's how they want to separate us, and that's how they want to instill those hierarchies, essentially. That's what fascism wants to do. Anyways, I digress. I've been fucking yapping. As always, I just wanted to say a big thank you so much for listening to the pod, as always. You know, if you want to share it, I would love that. I appreciate that. You know, you can follow me at MilesCasey06 on Instagram for updates. Again, I'm on TikTok. I think it's Millennial Manchild. I'm on Twitter, bad for the algo. Yeah, you can follow me there. If you like the pod, give it a like. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, your family. Send it to your conservative uncle. I don't give a fuck. Just help a brother out. Just help a brother out. We're trying to grow a little bit here. But yeah, that's all we got. The music for today. Go check out more of their stuff. Like I said, we got some Soft Play, Heavy Jelly, Grandson Bells of War, Free Palestine by Amar 47, and this last one will be Loner's Anthem by Who Shot Scott. And that'll do it for the day. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Free Palestine. Until next time, Millennial Manchild. Out.
I done this all my life and I was happy when I did not compare to those who love to dance through the night. And now it's normal life, but I'm just acting alright. But boy, it's so on sight inside this angst in a mic. It's really not a vibe, I'm super anti-alike. I can't compare to those who love to dance through the night. And now it's normal life, I'm just like, not for me. This shit is not for me, I'm just like, probably a lonely loyalty. If I was half of me, then maybe possibly it'd be more hard to need a lonely loyalty.
Yeah.